While visiting the village, Aaliyah and Raka lose their only daughter. The horrific events begin when their daughter is buried in that village's soil. A terrible curse is born from her grave. A curse that originated at the hands of Aaliyah's ancestors. What happened in the past? Why is this little girl's soul finding no peace even after death? Why does her corpse wake up and kill the village people one by one? To know this, you have to watch today's full story. So, without further delay, let's go straight to the story. At the beginning of the story, we see a woman named Aaliyah taking something out of their house fridge at night. Suddenly, a noise comes from behind her. She thinks someone might be walking behind her, so she closes the fridge to check. In the darkness, hearing a strange sound, Aaliyah gets quite scared. As she approaches the source of the sound, she sees a Pocong standing in the dark in front of her. However, as soon as she turns on the light, it disappears. Aaliyah turns off the light to look again, and just then, the Pocong comes even closer to her. As a result, she gets very scared and starts running away. While running, she notices the door of her house is open. Outside, it looks like a graveyard, from where her daughter Jasmine is calling her. She moves towards it. Stepping out of the house, she walks until she comes in front of a pit that looked exactly like a grave. From inside the grave, her daughter was calling her. Hearing her daughter's call like this, without thinking, Aaliyah climbs down into that grave. Sounds were still coming from inside the grave. Someone seemed to be trying to get out from under the wood. Just as she is about to touch the wood, a terrifying hand comes out and grabs her hand. Screaming in fear, her sleep breaks. Yes, all of this was happening in Aaliyah's dream. And at this moment, she was sitting in a car. Basically, she was going to her village home with her husband Raka and daughter Jasmine to meet her mother. Seeing her scared from the nightmare, her husband comforts her. Meanwhile, she receives a call. Her boss from the office had called her. Aaliyah had taken a few days off to go to the village home. Knowing this, the boss became very angry with her. He keeps telling her about the work pressure. Aaliyah says she will return and complete everything. We can understand that there was quite a bit of pressure on Aaliyah regarding work. Her boss always kept her under pressure. Raka always supported her. Meanwhile, Jasmine wakes up. She asks her parents when she will reach her grandmother's house. She was very excited to meet her grandmother. She is meeting her grandmother after a long time. Moreover, she is taking her new best friend, her new doll, to show to her grandmother, which was her most favorite doll. We understand that their family was a very happy family, but they didn't know that where they were going happily, all their happiness was about to be sacrificed. Now, driving all day, it becomes night by the time they reach Dewi's house. Dewi is Aaliyah's mother, who lives alone in a desolate house in this hilly village. So naturally, Aaliyah used to be very worried about her. Reaching the house, they see the whole house is dark. Also, even after calling repeatedly, Dewi was not giving any response. They become quite worried. Just then, touching the door, they see the door is open. This never happens. So, in a worried state, they enter inside. After going inside, it is seen that Dewi is not in her room. Jasmine was feeling very scared in this dark environment. So, Aaliyah tells her to stay back with Raka, and then she herself slowly moves forward to find her mother. A sound was coming from a rocking chair in a front room. They move towards that. In the dark, someone stands up from the chair and quickly comes forward towards the light switch. They got a bit scared. Just then, turning on the light reveals that this is Dewi. That is, Aaliyah's mother. Seeing her healthy and normal like this, Jasmine goes and hugs her grandmother. Dewi had dozed off towards the evening. That's why she forgot to turn on the lights in the whole house. Now, since Aaliyah and the others had eaten from outside, Dewi arranges juice for them. Raka goes to bring the luggage. Here, Jasmine introduces her grandmother to her favorite doll. Then Dewi asks Aaliyah about her job. Aaliyah was happy with her job. In the meantime, Raka arrives there. We learn that Raka is actually a contractor. That's why he goes to work whenever he gets a project. The rest of the time, he takes care of the house and Jasmine. He always supports Aaliyah. Dewi was very happy about this matter. Now that night, Jasmine will sleep with Dewi. So Dewey takes her to the room. Meanwhile, Aaliyah and Raka come to Aaliyah's childhood room. Aaliyah tells Raka that she wants to take her mother to live with her next year. That is, she wants to take her to the city to keep with them. Raka had no problem with this matter. He always supported Aaliyah in everything, because of which Aaliyah was also very happy. Now, on that day, we see the scene at midnight. As Dewey's sleep breaks, she sees Jasmine is not beside her. She gets a little worried. So she gets up from the bed and starts looking for Jasmine. Going outside the room, she hears Jasmine's voice, who was talking to someone. However, moving in that direction, DHI sees no one there. She keeps calling Jasmine and asks who she is talking to. But Jasmine was not responding to her words at all. Going closer, Dewey sees her favorite doll sitting in front of her. Does this mean she was talking to the doll for so long? Her grandmother cannot understand anything here. Now, we see the scene of the next morning, where Dewey was sitting in the kitchen thinking about last night. Just then, Aaliyah comes there to help her. Then Dewey asks her if she can bring some things from the market for her, because Dewey wanted to prepare a special meal for Jasmine, and these things were needed to prepare that food. Just then, Raka arrives, and Aaliyah asks him about this. Then Raka takes her with him and sets out to buy those things. On the way, Aaliyah's eyes fall on a man. This man's name was Basri. When she calls him, we learn that Basri basically looks after all the burial work in this area. Since childhood, he had a very good relationship with Aaliyah, so they exchange pleasantries here and leave. At that time, we see a look of worry on Basri's face. Now at that time, Dewey was alone at home with Jasmine. When she was organizing the dining table, she hears Jasmine's voice. She was talking to someone again, laughing, having fun, playing. So, calling Jasmine, she moves towards her. Jasmine was sitting alone in a room, and going there, Dewey is shocked because from the other side, someone throws the doll towards her. Dewey notices this. So this time she asks Jasmine who she is playing with. Jasmine replies, with her friend. Dewey moves in that direction and sees no one there, only that doll. As a result, Dewey gets quite scared this time, so she doesn't let Jasmine stay alone in the room anymore. Instead, she explains to her and takes her with her. Now we see a scene of a shop in that village, where a pregnant woman had come to the shop. Her name is Siri. Siri is going to deliver very soon. So seeing she came to get food, the shopkeeper exchanges pleasantries with her. As soon as she leaves, Aaliyah and the others arrive there. Aaliyah had a very good relationship with this shop named Mo. They were childhood friends. That's why meeting after so long, both of them become very happy. And then, while they were buying things, Mawar's daughter arrives there. Meeting her, Aaliyah feels even better. Taking things from there, they return home, where Jasmine becomes happy eating the delicious food made by her grandmother. They were spending a very good time. After eating, Raka takes Jasmine and gets up from there. Aaliyah tells Dewey about her plan. That next year she wants to take Dewey with her to the city. But Dewey was not at all agreeable to this matter. Firstly, she was born here and grew up here. Her whole life has been spent in this village, so she wants to spend the last part of her life here. Besides, after death, she wants to be buried here. Hearing this from her mother, Aaliyah doesn't prolong the conversation. She tells her mother that they will talk about this again later. For now, she comes to the room and starts showing her daughter pictures of old days, where there were pictures of Aaliyah and her mother Dewey. A lake was also seen in these pictures, seeing which Jasmine gets very excited. When she asks Aaliyah about this, Aaliyah says she grew up playing beside this lake in the village since childhood. Hearing this, Jasmine becomes more curious and says, tomorrow, her mother must take her to that lake. She wants to go there. She also takes permission from her father regarding this. Raka also agrees to this matter. However, he sets a condition that Jasmine must go to sleep right now. To go for a walk by the lake. Jasmine also accepts her father's words. The next morning, Jasmine wakes up early. She was so excited to go to the lake that she gets up early and gets ready. At that time, Raka and Dewey were cooking. Seeing Jasmine ready there, Raka understands she is ready to go to the Jasmine to return from the lake quickly. Her father is cooking food for her. Otherwise, the food will get cold. Jasmine accepts his words and her mother Aaliyah leaves with her. Now, after seeing them off outside, Dewey returns to the kitchen where she praises Raka's cooking a lot. Then Raka asks Dewey if Aaliyah has told her anything about going to the city. Dewey then says she never wants to be a burden on them. Raka says Dewey is never a burden on them. Rather, she is like a shadow over their heads. He will also be very happy if Dewey goes and stays with them in the city. Dewey says she will think about this later. For now, being tired, she goes to take a rest. On the other hand, along the path of the jungle, we see Aaliyah moving forward with Jasmine. Jasmine's favorite doll was also with them. Mother and daughter were moving forward very happily. Jasmine hardly gets much time with her mother like this. That's why she was even happier. However, in the meantime, a call comes to Aaliyah. It is seen that her office boss had called again, because of which Aaliyah has to urgently receive this call. She tells Jasmine not to go too far, to stay nearby. Jasmine obeys her and keeps playing nearby. Now Aaliyah gets busy on the call. She was talking about one of her clients. On the other hand, Jasmine is seen moving forward while talking to her doll. Now at one stage of talking, Aaliyah sees Jasmine is nowhere nearby. She gets a little surprised and starts calling Jasmine. Calling Jasmine, she moves forward along the jungle path towards the lake. But Jasmine was nowhere there either. As a result, she gets very scared. She keeps searching for Jasmine everywhere around. She keeps screaming, calling her daughter's name, but it is of no use. No response was coming from Jasmine. In the meantime, Aaliyah hears a little sound in the water. She moves in that direction. Running there, she sees Jasmine's doll lying there. Seeing the doll in the water, Aaliyah couldn't understand anything. She gathers courage, extends her hand, and picks up the doll. Just then, Jasmine's corpse floats up in the water. Seeing this, Aaliyah jumps into the water like a madwoman and quickly lifts Jasmine up from the water. She calls her, trying to bring her back to consciousness. She keeps screaming for help around, but it is of no use. Jasmine had died by then. As a result, Aaliyah breaks down in tears. That day at night, it starts raining heavily. We see the scene inside the house, where in front of Aaliyah was the corpse of her only daughter Jasmine, whose funeral bath Aaliyah herself has to perform now. It is not easy for any mother to do this task. On the other hand, inside, we see Dewey lighting a lamp and sitting near. She didn't have the language to console him. Raka wanted to take Jasmine to his city and bury her. However, with the storm and rain outside, taking the corpse was not that easy. On top of that, it was a hilly road. In the meantime, Basri and Mawa arrive there. Together, they start preparing the shroud for Jasmine. Meanwhile, Raka goes outside and tries to start the car. But amidst this storm and rain, the car wasn't starting properly either. As a result, he completely breaks down. He realizes there is no other way but to bury Jasmine here. So he breaks down in tears. On the other hand, crying all the while, somehow Aaliyah was bathing her only daughter. Her corpse is wrapped in the shroud. Meanwhile, by then, Raka had also accepted defeat and come inside the house. He couldn't even understand what to say. She herself will take care of Jasmine's grave. They should bury her here without worry. Raka breaks down even more and goes to his wife. Both parents had broken down in tears. They don't even find the courage to speak to one another. Now, after this, they all sit there and start reciting prayers. However, Aaliyah and Raka were still not in their senses, crying continuously. Their condition had worsened. Now, in the middle of these prayers, Basri suddenly gets startled when he sees this terrifying form of Jasmine's corpse. Looking at it, it seemed as if Jasmine was looking at him and smiling. No one else around notices this matter, for which reason, he also doesn't say anything to anyone. Now, after the rain stops, a grave is dug for Jasmine's burial. Basri and Raka together finish the burial work. In Aaliyah's hand was still Jasmine's favorite doll. Until the morning light broke, Raka and Aaliyah stay right there, leaving their daughter in the grave. It was as if they couldn't leave this place at all. Raka asks Aaliyah here if she wants to stay here for a few more days. However, in Aaliyah's opinion, if she spends a little more time here, then perhaps she won't be able to leave at all. So they both decide that they will leave this village today. Dewi is a bit surprised at this. She tells them to spend a few days here so that Dewi can stay by their side. But Aaliyah and Raka do not agree. Now, in a heavy-hearted state, they both set off towards the city. 3 of them had come to this village. Now they are returning as 2, having lost their only daughter, a matter that was very painful for them. Now, at the time of leaving, they meet Basri on the way. Raka tells Basri here to keep an eye on Dewi. At that time Basri addresses them, saying if they ever need anything, they should remember Basri saying this. He leaves from there. Aaliyah and Raka also leave towards the city. As a result, Dewi becomes completely alone in the house again. Sitting down, Dewi was looking at her picture with her mother, and remembering a thing her mother said. Her mother had basically told her in childhood that whatever happens, she should not leave this village and go anywhere outside. And when the time comes, she should be buried in this very village. She didn't know the reason for this. However, she was obeying her mother's command. Just then, suddenly Dewi hears a sound. Hearing such a strange sound, she repeatedly asks if anyone has come. But no response comes. Rather, that sound was being heard repeatedly. As soon as she reaches near a door, suddenly a tall Pokong appears in front of her, seeing which Dewi gets very scared. From here the scene changes and we see Aaliyah, who had broken down even more after returning home. The whole house had Jasmine's memories, and Jasmine is not with them. They both returned home alone. For which reason, she just couldn't get out of this pain. Meanwhile, while taking luggage out of the car, Raka breaks down in tears. Jasmine's luggage was in his hand, yet Jasmine was not with them. Still, somehow controlling himself, he brings the luggage inside. Meanwhile, Aaliyah goes into Jasmine's room. However, she doesn't have the courage to fully enter there. Crying, she leaves that room. Just then, we notice a strange thing. Jasmine's favorite doll. It was in Jasmine's room. Yet, Aaliyah and Raka had left this on that grave. How will it come here? Now that night we see Basri, who was going alone to his house through the village jungle path. Suddenly, we see that Pokong beside him, which Basri can sense. However, gathering courage, just then, he doesn't look that way. Something strange happens. For which reason, this time he turns back and looks. But the Pokong wasn't there nearby then. However, he could feel the presence of some evil force there. For which reason, he turns back again and looks and is stunned. A tall Pokong was truly standing there, which turns towards him in a terrifying manner. Basri starts reciting the rosary, repeatedly taking Allah's name. Meanwhile, in the room, holding the daughter's photo in hand, Raka was crying, sitting alone. Aaliyah herself couldn't understand what consolation she would give Raka. In the meantime, his phone starts ringing. As she moves towards the phone, Raka snaps at her this time. He keeps saying how much more sacrifice will he give because of this phone. And whose death has to occur for him to stop thinking about his work. Now, what will he even do by working? He had gotten involved with Jasmine. Going there, how did he give priority to his phone? Hearing all these words, Aaliyah feels terrible pain. She keeps saying she gave birth to Jasmine. She herself never thought of managing her life by losing her. Aaliyah is selfish. Hearing which, Aaliyah feels extremely bad. Because she has given her entire life for Jasmine. Now in an accident over which she had no control, she is being blamed. And the biggest thing is, she is being blamed for her daughter's death, which was very difficult to bear. That too from her own husband. As a result, she breaks down tremendously. Raka leaves from there. Aaliyah, crying, takes the phone in hand and sees her mother has messaged her. She was basically calling him for so long. Her mother, Dewi, wrote to her to pray more and more for Jasmine. Something of hers feels unnatural. It feels like something terrible is going to happen. Hearing this, Aaliyah breaks down in tears even more. Now on the other hand, we see Dewi, who had called Basri to the house to talk. She tells Basri that something unnatural is happening. She saw a Pokong in her house, hearing which Basri also gets a bit scared. Because he too had seen a Pokong in the middle of the jungle. He tells this matter to Dewey and says, seeing a Pocong within this village means something ominous is going to happen. Then Dewey informs that ever since her granddaughter came here, strange incidents started happening. She feels there is some problem in this house. When her mother was there in childhood, these problems appeared then too. She says she doesn't clearly remember about her mother's death. She remembers Basri was present at that place that day. She wants to know what actually happened that night. The night her mother died, Basri gets worried hearing this. The scene shifts to the next morning. We see Raka, who had prepared breakfast for the three of them even today. Aaliyah, Raka, and Jasmine's. He still hasn't been able to accept Jasmine's death. Meanwhile, Aaliyah also gets ready and leaves. She doesn't speak to Raka at all, or even eat breakfast. Seeing her leave like this, Raka also gets frustrated. In the meantime, he sees Jasmine's favorite doll sitting on Jasmine's childhood chair there, which they had decided to leave at Jasmine's grave. For which reason Raka is quite surprised. On the other hand, we see Aaliyah, who had gone to meet a doctor friend of hers. He was a doctor for mental illnesses. She shares all her pain in front of him. She wanted to take help. But then her friend tells her that she won't be able to get out of this pain alone like this. For this, Raka's help is needed. Raka and she have to fight this pain together. And she also has to understand that this pain is not easy for Raka. He lost his own child. For which reason, Aaliyah also has to understand Raka. They both can overcome this sorrow together. Now, after the friend explains this way, Aaliyah where Raka was already sitting on the sofa waiting for her. Near him was that doll. Showing the doll, he asks Aaliyah why Aaliyah brought this doll. They had decided they would leave this doll at that graveyard. Aaliyah herself didn't know how this doll came here. She had left this doll right in front of Raka near Jasmine's grave. Then how did it come here? However, Raka was blaming her until now. For which reason, Aaliyah tells him that the two of them have to move on together, but he is leaving her alone. And if he keeps blaming like this, they can never start life together again. Raka also understands her words here. At that time, we see the scene of Jasmine's grave in the village. The grave was moving on its own. Inside this grave full of insects, we see Jasmine, whose corpse starts twitching. The corpse seemed to have woken up. Twitching, this corpse of terrifying form takes out its hand, and we hear a terrifying laugh in Jasmine's voice. At that time, we see a pregnant woman of this village, Siri, whom we had seen at Mawar's shop. Her labor pain had started. She was writhing in pain. Then her husband tells her to be a little strong. He will call the midwife right now. Saying this, leaving Siri alone, he goes out of the house to call the midwife. Besides, there was no other way. Siri was crying in pain. In the meantime, she feels a groaning sound from the front room. Suddenly, there is a sound of something falling. Siri couldn't even get up to see what is happening. Whether anyone has entered the house. In the meantime, her pain increases. Suddenly, someone climbs up from near her feet. It is seen that it was Jasmine. Seeing this terrifying form of Jasmine, Siri got very scared. Just then, Jasmine attacks her terribly. She starts tearing her stomach terribly. Seeing which, Siri keeps screaming. Blood keeps splashing all around and we see Siri dies just like this. The same night, we see Aaliyah in the washroom, where she was standing in front of the basin and thinking about Jasmine, composing herself a bit. As soon as she splashes water on her face, suddenly she sees she has reached near that lake, where Jasmine was asking for her help from inside the water. As soon as she moves towards the water, a terrifying form of Jasmine comes out of the water. She had fallen inside the lake, yet she falls on her own bed in a completely wet state. Raka's sleep breaks with a start. He couldn't understand what just happened to Aaliyah. Aaliyah herself couldn't understand. However, she could understand this much, that Jasmine's soul needs her help. Her daughter's soul wants help from her. After knowing this, she won't be able to stay sitting in the room at all. She immediately wanted to go to Jasmine's grave with Raka. Keeps explaining to her that Jasmine has left them and gone. She probably cannot accept it. That's why she feels this way. Then Aaliyah says, Why are her clothes wet? Or how did that doll come here with them? Does Raka have any answer to this? If he cannot give any answer to this, it means surely some trouble is happening. If Raka doesn't want to go with her, then she will go alone. Saying this, she leaves that room. The next day we see, taking Aliyah, Raka has set off towards the village. However, it becomes night while reaching the village. At night, when they were going through the village road, they see a corpse was being taken for burial, with whom Basri was also there. He is a bit surprised seeing Raka and them returning to the village like this. Meanwhile, Aliyah keeps telling Raka to quickly take her to Jasmine's grave. Rather, without entering the house, they go straight to the grave. This grave was in their house's courtyard. As soon as they go near the grave, the parents are stunned, because the daughter's grave is dug open. They see their daughter's corpse is not there. As a result, they both scream in fear. They get even more scared and quickly come inside from there. They go directly to Dewey, who was still sitting, with her mother's and her own photo in hand. As soon as Aliyah asks her about this, the real mystery unfolds here. Dewey tells them everything. She says that the curse was real. Aliyah is shocked. Then Dewey starts speaking about the incident of that night of her mother's death. The villagers came to kill her mother because they believed Dewey's mother practiced black magic. Dewey was only 7 years old then. She didn't understand any of this. She was playing like herself. However, hearing the screaming outside, her mother understood everything. That's why she told Dewey here that she should never go outside leaving this village. And when the time comes, she should be buried in this village. Saying this, she comes out of the room to face the villagers, because the village people were already threatening to burn down her house. As soon as she steps out, the villagers become silent. Just then, a man brings a child in his arms from the crowd, and starts saying that this child died because of Dewey's mother. This child died because of her black magic. Consequently, everyone starts shouting together that they will kill Dewey's mother. Hearing all these words from inside, Dewey breaks down in tears. However, her mother had forbidden her to come outside. That's why she doesn't go out. Addressing everyone, Dewey's mother says the accusation against her is not correct. She is not a black magic practitioner. They can kill her, but they won't be able to end her lineage. For this sin of the villagers, she curses them, that whoever from her lineage is buried in this soil will return after death and take revenge on the villagers, so that everyone gets punished for their misdeeds. Saying this, she slits her own throat and kills herself. Basri was also small then, and all these events happened in front of him, from whom Dewey learned everything. After knowing this, she realized that her mother's curse given in this village has come true. The first child of their lineage, which was Jasmine, has been buried in this soil. As a result, she has now woken up and is attacking the villagers. She killed Siri. Aliyah couldn't understand what they should do now to stop this thing. In the meantime, Basri arrives there and says to stop all this, their Jasmine's corpse must be properly buried outside this village. Only then will her soul find peace. Otherwise, the jinn carrying Dewey's mother's curse will not leave Jasmine's corpse. Using the corpse, it will continue this rampage on the villagers. So before it takes anyone else's life, they should quickly make some arrangement regarding this. They must quickly find Jasmine. With this purpose, just then Dewey, Raka, and Basri were about to leave. When Aliyah wanted to go with them, Dewey forbade her. According to her, she should stay home now and pray for Jasmine, because being a mother, her prayer will work the most. Moreover, the Jasmine they are going to search for now is not the previous Jasmine. Aliyah won't be able to bear seeing her like this at all. So she must make herself strong. And staying here, she must pray more and more for Jasmine. Before leaving, Basri gives her a book so that she can read prayers from this book. On the other hand, at that time, we see Aliyah's friend Moa, who was returning home after closing the shop. At such a time, she hears a sound. She thinks her daughter might have screamed, so she runs to her house, which was right next to the shop. she goes directly to her daughter's room. Her daughter was sitting on the bed, wrapped in a sheet. Mawar asks her what happened. However, in fear, she first couldn't dare to say anything of the room with her eyes. But there was nothing there. That's why Mawar goes and sits near her and asks her what happened. Then the girl tells her to be quiet and points under the bed. Mawar gets startled as soon as she looks under the bed to check, because her daughter was there. Her daughter tells her to be quiet and says a devil is sitting on the bed. Consequently, Mawar gets quite scared. If her daughter is staying here, then who did she see on the bed? To check this, as soon as she gets up, suddenly the devil Jin and Jasmine's body attach her about. Mawar's daughter starts calling her mother from under the bed, but there was nothing she could do. Right there, that Jin kills her. Meanwhile, sitting at home alone, Aliyah was praying. She was asking for help from the Almighty Allah for her daughter. In the meantime, she hears the voice of Jasmine crying. Who calls out to Aliyah? She advances towards the direction from where this crying of a call was coming, which went inside a room. She gathers courage and opens the door of that room. There was no one inside the whole room. She comes near the window. Just then, in the mirror's reflection, starts hurting. She sees Jasmine's favorite doll. How did it come here? Thinking this, surprised, Aliyah goes near and picks up the doll. Even then, Jasmine's voice could be heard, who was continuously calling Aliyah. So taking that doll in hand and continues to follow that voice. From the surroundings, the sound of which was scaring Aliyah even more. Following the voice, she arrives near Jasmine's grave. She sees the grave is dug, but the wooden part inside is still intact, where someone from inside is trying to open the wood, meaning pushing repeatedly. Seeing this, Aliyah sits down there, and closing her eyes, she keeps saying in her daughter, "Where is she? Where is she?" Just then, her daughter calls her from behind. Turning back, she sees her Jasmine standing. Aliyah finds peace in her heart. But this was not Jasmine's body. Rather, it was Jasmine's soul. Her body was still under the control of that Jinn, who rises terribly from that grave, meaning Aliyah, by the neck. She keeps trying to bring her back to her senses repeatedly, and keeps saying that she is her mother. That doll falls from Aliyah's hand. Immediately, meanwhile, Jasmine and Raka and the others had also reached their... Seeing her, when Aliyah starts telling him about her daughter, Raka starts saying, "This is not their daughter. Rather a devil, Jinn." As soon as this is said, that Jinn again grabs Aliyah's neck. When Raka goes forward to stop it, it grabs Raka's neck too, and lifts him into the air, taking Aliyah too. It starts floating in the air itself. In the middle of this terrifying event, Basri arrives there. Seeing this terrifying scene, Basri quickly starts reciting As a result, that Jinn lets go of Aliyah and Raka. They fall down, and that Jinn itself disappears. Basri keeps looking for that Jinn. Meanwhile, Raka keeps trying to handle Aliyah. Aliyah still couldn't accept that this is not their daughter. Rather a devil Jinn. In the meantime, Jasmine attacks Basri. Through Rukia, he somehow keeps trying to bring Jasmine under his control. Meanwhile, Aliyah runs towards her daughter. Raka couldn't hold Aliyah back at all and tries to explain to her daughter. But Aliyah's mind was not listening at all. After much effort, Basri finally managed to calm Jasmine's body. He thinks everything is probably fixed, so he was leaving from there. Just then, Jasmine sits up behind him, seeing which Aliyah and the others start understand anything. The Jinn inside Jasmine attacks Basri. Somehow frees himself from that Jinn's hand, places his hand on its head and starts reciting prayers, and tells the others to help him in this work. The others also start reciting prayers from their respective places. As a result, now that Jinn is forced to leave Jasmine's body and go away, the curse breaks. Jasmine's body falls to the ground. Everyone rushes to her. Basri starts thanking Almighty Allah. Meanwhile, the whole family breaks down in tears. They were experiencing the pain of losing a child for the second time. Now, after this, we see the scene of the next day. The next morning, taking her outside this village to a mass graveyard, Jasmine's corpse is buried. After the burial, everyone left, but the four of them were right there. Aliyah bids her daughter a final farewell. She leaves her favorite doll on that grave. And with this, today's story ends. Hope you liked this story. If you liked it, don't forget to like and comment. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Besides, to get updates on any of our videos, join our WhatsApp channel now. You will find the link in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video.